Guys, it's the Vinyl Hunter here, Metal War God, and I've been doing a lot of vinyl hunting lately, and I got a lot of vinyl to show you. I figured if I didn't do it now, it was just going to get bigger and bigger. In fact, yesterday I was out and I picked up a couple more albums, and I'll show you what I picked up yesterday. And first, we'll start out with some Fleetwood Mac Future Games. This came out in, I believe it was 1971. Of course, this has 5 members. It has Danny Kerwin on guitar, Christine McVie on piano, Bob Welsh on guitars, Mick Fleetwood, and John McVeigh on bass. This is before Lindsey Buckingham and Stevie Nicks came into the band. I like the older stuff, the bluesier stuff, Fleetwood Mac. But anyway, here's Fleetwood Mac Future Games. And also, I picked up this one. I don't ever see this. This is a reissue. I stopped at Barnes & Noble yesterday, and I do stop in there from time to time and see what they have. But for the most part, their prices are way out of control there. These I bought for a decent price, and this one is also Fleetwood Mac. Then Play On. Of course, this is I believe the last album that Peter Green appeared on before they changed their lineup a little bit. So this is more bluesy or Fleetwood Mac, more of the raw Fleetwood Mac. Like I say, I've never seen this one, and so I picked it up. And anyway, good stuff here. Up next, I picked up this also at Barnes & Noble, and I don't ever see any of this guy's stuff out there, new or even used. And if you do see it, it's really pricey. I seen one about a month and a half, 2 months ago, and I knew I should have got it because when I went back, it was gone. But this wasn't the album, but I'm talking about Albert King and Stevie Ray Vaughan. And this one was actually, see, when was this released? I'm not exactly sure on this. 1983. This was recorded in 1983. And I think this has finally been released on vinyl. I did have the CD of this, but I love Stevie Ray Vaughan, and always have. And Albert King is a very good blues guitarist as well. If you have not heard this, definitely pick this up. Very good bluesy album. So anyway, Albert King and Stevie Ray Vaughan. Up next, stopped in at one of my favorite used shops, the Vinyl Giant. And I was in there about 3 weeks ago. 3 weeks ago, a month. About the time I got my taxes back, I went up there and I bought a bunch of vinyl, and that's kind of what I'm showing you here. These are from yesterday. I'll tell you what I got a couple, 3 weeks ago. But this was on the wall, and I seen it there. I know I'd never seen this one, hardly ever see, let alone any of this stuff. But this was on the wall, and I knew about this album. I didn't buy it at the time. Back yesterday, it was still there. And I asked the owner, Aaron, I said, "You give me a deal on this?" He said, "What are you thinking?" I said, "Well, I'll give you 20. And he said, "Deal." And I'm talking about Hawkwind. This one is the Hall of the Mountain Grill. A great Hawkwind album. This one came out in 1974. Here's the inner. Of course, this has Dave Brock, Lemmy, Simon House, Nick Turner, and Simon King on drums. So probably one of the last albums that Lemmy appeared on with Hawkwind. And anyway, I'm just glad I got this. I posted this online, and somebody said, "You know how long I've been looking for that album?" But anyway, like I say, I never hardly see any Hawkwind up there. This is one I wanted to get, and I got it yesterday. And this was another one that was up there. Cover's in absolutely great shape. I was surprised. Didn't know nothing about the band. I can usually open the covers and it'll tell me if it's going to be good or not, or going to be good, or might be good. This was no exception. The band is called Turkey. This was released in 1972 on the Chrysalis Records label. And anyway, it'll have on here Wild Turkey. It's a gatefold edition. Here's the back. And I'm thinking this is going to be more probably early hard rock, probably. It's on the Green Chrysalis label. So I usually come across surprise stuff there, and I never seen this before there, so I took a chance on this, and here is Turkey, Wild Turkey. And this is another one that kind of intrigued me. I can usually tell by the names. Covers kind of will kind of influence me as well, and I don't think I had anything by this band. This album was released in 1971, and the band is called Crowfoot, and the album called Find the Sun. These guys are out of San Francisco, so that might give you an indication of maybe what it's like. Probably early hard rock. It's got Sam McHugh on guitars, Russell DeShiel on keys and guitars, and Don Francisco on drums and percussion. A three-piece. And definitely it's on the ABC Records label. Like I say, it came out in 1971. So, looking forward to hearing this. And I pulled the trigger. I used to have this and a couple others, and I finally picked up this again, Dokken Tooth and Nail, from 1984 in Elektra. Of course, George Lynch, Don Dokken, Mick Brown, and Jeff Pilson. So was happy to get this back in my collection. And of course, you know, it has Tooth and Nail, Just Got Lucky, Close Your Eyes, When Heaven Comes Down, Into the Fire, Bullets to Spare. Just classic tracks. Probably my favorite Dokken. But anyway, I was glad to get this again. And this really shocked me. I didn't even know this was going to be there. No brainer. I didn't care what the price was. I got to have everything in this. And I don't think I've ever seen this. And I do have some other singles, 12-inch singles from them, and Judas Priest, Turbo Lover. It has a long version of, what's that? I'm trying to think of the song. Turbo Lover, excuse me. High octane version and the remix version, or what they say, the long and the short version. And of course this was from the album Turbo. This was released in 1986 on CBS Records. And, but yeah, I'm just happy to pick this up. Don't see much Judas Priest, especially in singles, anywhere. Up next. Well, this was a buy on one of the video record groups I'm on Facebook. And this was from, I believe this was from 75 on Passport. The band is called Omega. Definitely hard rock. I think this is their self-titled one. Yeah, this is a self-titled one from Omega. Gotta love the cover. And I'm trying to. These guys are from Europe, I believe. Germany, maybe. Yeah, they're from Germany. This isn't an original pressing. Of course, on the Passport Records label. You ever run into times where you just can't hear stuff when you want to hear it because you're too damn busy? Well, that's the case here, but anyway, Omega. And then these are all from about a month ago. I went up to Fargo and I actually stopped at 3 places. I stopped at Vinyl Giant, Phat Kat Records, and Mother's Records. And most of my buys came from Vinyl Giant and Phat Kat. I think I bought 2 from Mother's Records. At the time they didn't have much in there, but I had this at one time, and I love this guy's playing, especially the 70s stuff. And I'm talking about Al Di Meola and Splendido Hotel. Very, very good jazz guitars, heavy jazz guitars, very, very fast. One of the best jazz guitar players out there, and I have like 4 of the albums. Elegant Gypsy, Casino, a couple other ones I just can't remember offhand, but very good album from Al Di Meola. This is a little different than the previous ones. This is has a little more acoustic in it, but still nonetheless very good album. Up next, this came from the Vinyl Giant. I bought it on the cover alone, and how the name was written on here. And this is a band called Stone Bolt, released in 1978. Hard rock. It's on the Parachute label. So I picked this up, and all these I clean. Of course, I'm putting them in the MoFi high fidelity sleeves now. So anyway, I'm just happy to pick this up, Stone Bolt. Up next, this also came from the Vinyl Giant. I'm picking up a lot of this guy's early stuff. I like the early stuff much more. I think it has much more of a more rawer sound. I don't think it has a lot more of, it doesn't have the flute influences like later on with Thick as a Brick and a couple of the other albums that I picked up. Let's see, which one is this one? Jethro Tull, This Was. And trying to see a date on this. I'm not sure. I think this came out in 1969. But anyway, it's on the Chrysalis label, green label. So some early Jethro Tull. Up next, also from the Vinyl Giant. I had this on vinyl, but the covers are different. This, I believe, is a European pressing, and one of my all-time favorite bands out of the 70s, and they still are today. Only one original member remains in the band, but I'm talking about Nazareth, and this one is Malice in Wonderland. Now, if you look at the U.S. pressing, it had Malice in Wonderland across the whole top of this, where this one only has it right here. And I didn't know that, but when I seen this, I knew it was different. Like I say, this one, of course, this came out in 1980 on A&M, and like I say, I do believe this is a European pressing. But anyway, Nazareth, Malice in Wonderland. Up next, band out of Canada. Love these guys. I consider their middle catalog to be the best. Million Vacations, Universal Juveniles. This one is one of their early stuff. Talk about Max Webster and High Class and Borrowed Shoes, which came out in 1977. Of course, it has Kim Mitchell on vocals, and let's see which one. I think, if I'm not mistaken, I believe that is Kim Mitchell right there. But, so I picked this up. Don't see a lot of Max Webster, so I picked it up. I think I might have this. I'm not positive, but I bought it just in case. And if that's the case, I'll just pass it on to a VC member. But anyway, Max Webster. I was shocked when I seen this. I knew of This guy, very, very big in Europe back in the 70s. And when I seen this, I about freaked out. It was a pretty decent price too, and I'm talking about Jukka Tolvanen and the album Tolvanen, which came out in 1974 on Janus Records. Definitely one early great guitarist of the 70s that really nobody really knew about except the Europeans. I think he's from Finland, if I'm not mistaken. But I seen this, I had to get it. I don't come across any Tolvanen at all, and I couldn't pass this up. But every once in a while, there are some surprise buys and finds at the Vinyl Giant, and this was one of the very nice surprise finds. Hard rock, maybe a little jazzy at times. But anyway, here's Jukka Tolvanen with the album Tolvanen. I think he has 5 or 6 albums out. Up next, slowly picking up all this. And I love these guys. Different band from the 70s. You know, and this is a band that never partied. Really never partied all the time they were out touring. They just did not do it. At least that's what I read anyway. I'm talking about the Tubes and the Young and Rich. And then, of course, it has Don't Touch Me there, Pimp, Young and Rich, P. Waybill on vocals. Like I say, this came out in 1976 on A&M Records. White Punks on Dope, classic album. This is a classic album. I think I've had 4 Tubes albums now, but great stuff. And that was from the Vinyl Giant as well. This also from the Vinyl Giant. I think this is my 3rd album from these guys. I want to say this came out about 72, 73. And it is Crow by Crow, which is on the Amaret Records label, which you can see here, green label. But I love Crow. Early Crow is really good. So I picked this up as well. I don't ever see this in this decent of a shape, so I picked it up. Another surprise. I never see this band stuff. I love this band. They're relatively new to my ears. I knew of the band, but I really never gave this band a chance. I think a friend of mine gave me a CDR years and years ago to hear, and I really never invested any time in listening to this band, but they came out with a new release last year. The band is out of Germany. I just did a retrospective career of this band last week on the 70s flashback show, and fantastic band. I just don't know how these guys did not become bigger. Great stuff, prog rock, band out of Germany called Eloy, and their album called Inside. I believe this was it. Yeah, Inside. Came out in, let's see, this one I believe came out about 73, 74 in there. Very extensive catalog, very progressive rock, very keyboard influenced band. Frank Bannerman, I think Frank Brannerman is the original member of this band. A lot of different lineup changes, but here's Eloy. I think this is my 6th Eloy album now. Hard to come by, even online, and they're expensive. That was Vinyl Giant. This is Vinyl Giant. Love this gal. Originally, her first album was called Ruby Jones. Later, sang with Jim Danny on, I think, one song. And I'm talking about Ruby Star and Smoky Places. Love this gal. Pint-sized gal with head on keg full of dynamite vocals on this gal. I mean, or how small she was. You would never think her vocals would sound that good, but I think Ruby Starr put out 3 albums. I believe this was the 3rd one. First one was Ruby Starr and Grey Ghost, and it was later Ruby Starr. But love Ruby Starr. Vinyl Giant. This one came from Phat Kat. When I was at Vinyl Giant, I actually seen 2 copies of this, but I picked this one up. The band was called Silver Condor. If you're not familiar with Silver Condor, this I think one of Earl Slick's later bands or early bands. I'm not. Let's see. 1980. I think this is one of a later band that Earl Slick was in. A band called Silver Condor. It's on the Columbia Records label. Hard rock. Love Earl Slick. I did not have this. Love these guys. This one came from Vinyl Giant. Sweet Level Headed. From 1978. I love all the 70s Sweet. And, you know, of course, I think basically that's what most of the Sweet material came out. Desolation Boulevard, I think, is an absolute classical album and one of my favorite Sweets. Give Us a Wink is another good one. For the Record is a good one. Level Headed is a good one. But very underrated band. They should have been bigger as well. What did I say? This came out in 78 on the Capitol Records label. This came from Phat Kat's. I've seen it in there every time I went in there. There's 2 albums. I picked this one up. And the band is called Streets, featuring Steve Walsh. And this is the album Crimes in Mind. Definitely probably going to be more maybe progressive rock in nature. But I had to pick this up. Love Steve Walsh on vocals. Probably when I go back, I'll probably pick the other one up. But here's Streets with Crimes of the Mind. And this came out in 1985 on Atlantic Records. So if you ever see this, pick it up. Next, from Phat Kat Records. I've never seen this. I did I went to Discogs to check out who these guys were. Early heavy metal. This came out in '83. The band was called Bodine, and the album Three Times Running. It's on the We International label. I think these guys have a couple albums out. This is the only one I've seen. So anyway, here's Bodine. Up next, I needed to get more of this in my collection. I had some at one time, and I don't see these very often, especially this one. This member was a member of Jefferson Airplane, and later went on to form Hot Tuna. Talk about Jorma Kukkonen, and this is called The Phosphorescent Rat. This came out in 1973 on Grunt Records. Some good stuff here from Hot Tuna. As well as this one, and definitely you can tell it's 70s. And this is from also Hot Tuna, Final Vinyl. This is kind of a mix of stuff from various albums. From 71 all the way up to 79 on Grunt Records. Great stuff from Hot Tuna. This came from Phat Kat. I've seen this. I've looked at it numerous times. I finally took the phone out and went over the Discogs, and I liked what I read about them. And the band is called Widow and the album Too Far Gone, female fronted. They are on the CBS Blue record label. And let's see here, I'm not exactly sure. This came out in 1985. As you can see, it's a blue CBS Blue record. Kind of hard rockish metal. Excuse me, guys, I gotta fix up here. Anyway, Widow, Too Far Gone. Also from Phat Kats. I don't see this often. I did have any. I figured I'd pull the trigger. I picked up Vandenberg Alibi on the Atco label. This came out in 1985. It's a product of Atlantic Records, but it is Atco label. And I like early Vandenberg. So anyway, here's some Vandenberg. Up next, from Phat Kat as well. I used to have a lot of this band stuff. Hard rocking blues band. I'm talking about the Fabulous Thunderbirds with Kim Wilson on vocals and Jimmy Vaughn on guitar. Of course, that's Stevie Ray Vaughan's brother. And this is called T-Bird Rhythm. I think I have 3 albums from Fabulous Thunderbirds. This one came out in 1982. And anyway, they have quite a few albums out, the Fabulous Thunderbirds do. Of course, everyone knows Tough Enough from the Thunderbirds. That's all they put out on radio was that one. This came from Phat Kat. I had one other album from these guys, but I picked up Jupiter 1. Which is on the Roadshow Records label. This came out in 1982. Product of CBS. Yeah. Jupiter 1. I think what you're listening to in the background is Pagan's Mind. This came from Phat Kat, early 70s band. This is actually a fairly decent copy. It is a cutout though, but I'm talking about Mom's Apple Pie on Brown Bag Records. I believe this came out in 1972. Very, very early hard rock from these guys. If you're not familiar with them, I play them on the 70s Flashback show. But here's Mom's Apple Pie. This came from Vinyl Giant, and I went to Discogs to check on this album, and the band is called Cottonwood, and the album is called Camaraderie. Came out in 1971 on the ABC Records label. Early hard rock from these guys. Up next, this came from Phat Kat. I've seen Scott Waters, I think one other guy showed this album. Maybe it was Greeno, I think, showed this as well. I seen it there. I don't see it ever. Talk about Rogue Mail and First Visit. This is a promo copy. It's on the white label promo. And this came out, let's see, what year? 1985 on the Elektra label. But I finally picked this up. Gotta love the cover. It's almost like it's the Bionic Man head. So anyway, Rogue Mail. Up next, from Phat Kat's, decent cover. It's funny, you know, I don't see this particular album, and then I was in Phat Kats and the Vinyl Giant, and I seen 3 of these. Weird. For years and years you don't see it, and then you run into 3 copies in one day. Well, this was actually the better cover, and I'm talking about Cactus and Restrictions. Gotta love that cover. Pat Body Man, I mean, it's great. This came out in, let's see here, I don't think I'm going to find a day on this, or year on this. But I think this is about 1974, 75. But anyway, it's on the Atco label as well, the yellow Atco label. So here's Cactus and Restrictions. Up next, I seen this in the heavy metal bin. It was a decent price. Usually is this from Phat Kat. Usually as heavy metal bins prices are up, but this one was actually a decent price. I think I paid 12 bucks for this. And I'm talking about Loudness and Hurricane Eyes from 1987 on the Atco label too. Product of Phat Kat Records. If you have not heard the new album from Loudness, definitely pick it up. It is absolutely fantastic. Kind of back to their old school days. But anyway, here's some Loudness. I think this is like the 4th Loudness now I have on vinyl. Got a few more yet. This came from Phat Kat. I did not have this, and usually what I see from this particular album, they're all beat up and shot to shit. But this is not a bad cover. It's got a little bend in the corner, and I'm talking about Babe Ruth and their album Amar Caballero from 1974. And it's got Jenny Hahn on vocals, Alan Stalock or Shacklock on guitars, and I'm not going to see. Anyway, it was produced by Alan Shacklock, recorded in England, 1974 on the EMI Harvest label. Good stuff from Babe Ruth. I think I have just about all the Babe Ruths. This came from Phat Kat Records. I have one other album from this band, a Bay Area band. This is kind of a best of label, or a best of album, and it's called the Chocolate Watchman. Came out in 1983, and let's see, what label is this? It's distributed by Rhino Records. And I think it's A1 Records is the one who actually put this out. But here's the Chocolate Watchman, best of. Bay Area Psych. This came from Phat Kat. I've seen it there the last couple of years. Nobody's pulled the trigger. When I bought a lot of these from Phat Kat, they were 50% off, and I bought this one for, I believe, 15 bucks. So originally it was 30, and I'm talking about Rage and Execution Guaranteed is on the Noise label. Came out in 1987. I didn't have any Rage on vinyl. I'm glad to pick this up. This came from Phat Kat Records too. Again, another album that I don't ever see. And then the day I go up vinyl hunting, I run into 3 copies. Same case with this. Procol Harum, Grand Hotel, from 1973 on the Chrysalis Records label. Love Procol Harum. Just some good stuff. Check them out. Down to the last 2. These were from Mother's Records, only 2 albums I picked up. I had this at one time. I did not have it since. I love the early material from this band, and then it kind of went more chick rock orientated. Talking about REO Speedwagon, their debut album. And let's see what year. I believe this came out about, what is it, 1972? It's on the Epic label. And I love this early, like I say, the early stuff. 157 Riverside Avenue, great song. Of course, Ride the Storm Out, classic album. REO 2, great album with Golden Country. But I didn't have this one. and finally picked it up. All right, down to my last one here, and then I'm caught up. This was actually that Proclaim came from Mother's Records. Sorry about that. This one was I had the digital of this, and I really never paid any attention to this group. This band is out of Sweden. They're all female. Their roots go back into the 60s and 70s of psych and more psychedelia in nature. And the band is called Maidavale, and the Tales of the Wicked West. Fantastic stuff if you like that 70s retro sound, hard rock, psych, and got their own custom labels here. And they are on, let's see here, I'm not sure what label they are on. They're on, I don't know. Anyway, it doesn't say. But Maidavale, Tales of the Wicked West. This came out in 2017. They're coming out with a new album here, I believe in March, which I pre-ordered. So anyway, guys, we are finally caught up to the Vinyl Hunter, and I don't think I have any more to show you, but been a long day recording. So anyway, don't forget to check out my other videos. Leave a comment below, and I'll see you next time on the Vinyl Hunter. Take care, everybody.